Okay, so today what we're going to do is make a jump scare. And the first jump scare I'm going to make is going to use the scarecrow right here. I'm going to have him pop up out of the corn maze and then kind of lean out over the top of me. So, in kind of thinking about how I want to set up jump scares, I used to work in haunted houses and build haunted houses for about 20 years. And we would often set up IR sensors, or we would use pressure pads, or, we had somebody in a control room that would activate certain things. But in this case, we're going to be making kind of a pressure pad. Okay? So we want to be able to put that pressure pad anywhere, and then the scare could happen somewhere else. So obviously we want someone looking in one direction, and then we would scare them with the animatronic or the pneumatic from another direction. So to do that, we'll need a pressure pad. So let's right click right here, and that's going to be the first thing we're going to make. Let's call this an actor, and we're going to title this trigger pad. Okay. And this trigger pad is just going to be a collision that we've seen before. In this case, I'm going to use a box collision because I can form that into almost anything I need it to be, as far as covering an entire path or only taking up a certain part of it. I can have it show up on opposite sides of a wall if I wanted to. It just depends on what kind of scare that I need to have there. So we're going to call this trigger. And this trigger is going to send out a signal. And in this case, it's going to be an event dispatcher. And that event dispatcher, we're going to call this trigger scare, or let's see, scare triggered. How about that? Yeah, let's call it that, scare triggered. Okay. And let's go into the event graph. And we want this to happen whenever someone walks into this trigger space. We're going to highlight that. We're going to do begin overlap. Got to spell overlap correctly, and I didn't grab the right one. All right, here we go. Begin overlap. I have a very fat pinky apparently. There we go. And let's grab our reference to our character that we're running around here. That would be our third person character. So we're going to cast to third person character. Make sure we hook up the other actor so we can check and see, is that the thing that's actually interacting with this, just in case we have anything else floating through there or any other actors that might possibly walk through there. We want to make sure that this is the thing that triggers the scare. Now from here, we're going to call scare triggered. Okay, and once we do that, then we can have almost anything listening to that. So we'll set up our scarecrow to do that here in just a second. Let's go ahead and compile this, and let's add this to our level because we want to have this in here already so we can link to it whenever we put our, I keep thinking about it as an animatronic or a pneumatic, but we're going to put that over here to the side. And I want to expand this all the way across this space because I don't want anybody to get away from this guy. Okay, so the moment you walk into this space from either side, either one of these sides, you're going to trigger this. Now I don't want it to go through the corn maze, so you don't accidentally trigger it if you're on the other side. We could though, so just something to keep in mind. All right, so let's go back in, and in our user blueprints for now, we're going to make a jump scare. So this is also going to be an actor. Okay, so this is going to be scarecrow. Gotta spell it right. Jump scare. Okay, and let's go ahead and jump into that. All right, so let's add our let's see, add our scarecrow. So I'm just going to type in scarecrow. We'll probably see our own stuff here. Oh, there he is on that T-post thing there. Perfect. Okay, now I want him to spring up out of the ground, so I'm going to have this be a little bit below the scene root. About there should be good. So he's at negative 260. Keep that in mind a little bit later because we're going to need to have him spring up out of the ground from where that scene root is. All right, so let's go in here, and what we need to do is have this listen. We need to hook up the pressure pad to our animatronic over here. So we need to have this listening for our pressure pad whenever it goes off. Okay, our trigger scare there. So we need to go into our variables. We're going to call this, let's see, trigger received. Okay, and that's going to be whatever we got this from. So this is going to be coming from our trigger pad. There we are. And there's our object reference for it. We're going to make sure it's instance editable so that we can use these trigger pads all over the place. And we can say, oh yeah, well this one's hooked up to this one, and this one's hooked up to this one, or this one's hooked up to all these other things. So don't keep that, to one trigger pad makes one thing go off. Obviously you'll probably start that way, but then you can make a lot of things happen at once with these kind of things. So we got our trigger pad ready to go. We got an instance editable. We're going to go ahead and drag content browser there, but I don't have there's my map. Okay, I got that. I'm going to need to bring in my jump scarecrow. Did it pop in there, or did I just miss it? Nope, it's already looking for it up here, so it's not seeing it. There we go. All right, he's underground. And let's see, there he is right there. We'll have him face us first, and then we'll move him into the corn over there. All right, but now that we've got this, we can select the trigger pad that we want this one to trigger. So just use that eyedropper tool over here once we have our jump scare highlighted, and then we can just go in here and select that. Okay. All right, let's go back to our jump scare. And for this one, we're going to have it listening for, let's see, I believe it was bind to scare triggered. There we are. Good deal. Okay. We'll hook that up. We'll get the custom event coming out of here. This will be activate prop. Call it that. Oops, no. I'm silly. I didn't get the custom event yet. There we go. This will be activate prop. There we go. Oh, if only it was this easy making fonts back in the day. All right, so we'll drag off of this, and we're going to do add timeline. Okay, and this timeline is going to be scarecrow animation. Okay, it's not real animated or anything like that, but we're animating it up out of the ground. So we'll go into the timeline. For this one, what I want to have it do is launch up into the air, and then also lean forward right at the end. So I'm going to do a couple float tracks here. The first one is going to be just shooting it up on the Z. And if you remember, I had it starting off at -260. So we want to start it there. We don't want to start it at 0, because if we do that, then it's just going to hop up right to 0, because it was below the ground before. And then I want this to happen really fast. So I'm going to do 0.5, half a second. And then here, I think I want it to come up to the ground level. Okay, so this will be 0.5. Okay, everything looks good there. Let's go ahead and see everything that looks good. Now I want it to have like a little hop at the top, so I'm going to set these two to be set for auto. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit. And on this one, what I want to do is just bump it up a little bit, so it'll just hop over and then settle back down. All right, now I need another track. Oh, this one I've got to rename. This one will be pop up. And then I've got another one. Add another float track. This will be lean over. Okay. And for this one, we do want it to start at 0. So we're going to just set this first key right here at 0, 0. And then right at the end, we'll have another one. And this one will be 0.5. We want it to get out to be, I don't know, like 30, 30 degrees. We'll have it lean out. So this one will be location, and this one down here will be rotation. And let's see, will that be enough? 30 degrees. And actually, I don't really want it to slowly lean out. I want it to lean out right at the end. So I'm going to have it start right here. Okay, I think that'll work. Let's go ahead and take a look at everything. Okay, everything looks good there. Let's go back to the event graph. Okay, now from here, we want to use the scarecrow prop, so we want to highlight that, and we'll do set relative location and rotation. Let's do it all in one node. Okay. Now this is a vector and this is a rotator, so we're going to have to break these open because we're just getting the float value right here that we're adding in. So just remember to split those out when you go in here. Split those structs out so you can get to them. And then on the pop-up, we're going to have that happen on the Z. And then for the lean out, we're going to have that happen on the red, which is our X rotation right there. and that will be roll. So we're going to roll it forward, roll it towards the people who are walking towards it. So we're going to put that on the rotation right there on roll. Okay, and let's see. Looks pretty good to me so far. Oh, one thing I'm missing. I'm missing this update right there. If we don't do that, nothing happens. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and save everything. Compile. Go back to the map itself, and there's our bad mean jump scare right there. And I'm going to pull him back just a little bit, and we'll just have him right in the middle of that cornfield right there. Let's go ahead and hit play. We're gonna walk up, and let's see what happens. Oh, there it is. Okay, so not great, not wonderful, but I think it's good to put it up into the corn. So let's see how that goes. I'm gonna go ahead and move it over into the corn. Now keep in mind, I haven't moved my trigger pad at all, so that makes my life a lot easier. I just got to figure out where I want people to start getting scared from. And if I wanted to, I could probably even bring in another one of these. I'm going to go ahead and flip it around that way, and I'm going to push it back. So you're going to get this on both sides, and it's already set up for the trigger pad right there. So I've got both of these scarecrows. Both of them are set for the trigger pad since I copied it and brought them over. All right. I think I want them to pop up a little bit more. So I think if I go in here, I've got copies of this particular guy. So if I go in and I change this, so he pops up a little bit more up out of the corn. I'm going to say 180. Set that for 180 right there. And I want it to kind of bulge up just a hair and then settle back down. And this seems to happen a little bit too fast, so I might pull this back just a little bit. Okay, everything looks good. We're going to go back to the map. And now we've got 2 jump scares for this one pressure pad. Let's see how it goes. Whoop, they both popped out at the same time. I might give them a little bit more lead, pull the pressure pad back some, but not bad overall. Next thing we want to do is probably link up some lights, maybe some lights to kind of accentuate what we're doing here. And then we'll also add some audio. There we go. Yeah, we're going to have to kind of train that a little bit. And maybe it didn't have to happen so fast. We'll see. And we'll also set this up so it has some scare that goes into your fear meter. And we're just going to keep going from there. All right. All right. I think one of the main things I want you guys to think about as you think about putting scares into this is you can have a lot of things happen with one pressure pad. And you can really kind of change things up by making the pressure pad go through the wall like this. And maybe you got a scare that's scaring on both sides. Maybe you only have it where someone would only touch it if they were walking right in the middle. Okay, so you can kind of save some things sometimes so people won't know exactly how they tripped it whenever they did it. Okay, all right, we'll move on to the next piece here in just a second.